What is my purpose in life? Is how does God communicate purpose into our life? Am I passionate about it? Today I want to tackle the biggest question we usually ask ourselves, and that is, what is my purpose in life? The real question is really, how does God communicate purpose to you and I? So what I did was, I looked at the criteria people usually use in order to discover the purpose for their own lives. In other words, this is a pathway they take in order to discover their purpose. The first thing I see them ask themselves is, do I have a positive emotion about this purpose that I believe God's called me to? The second is, they always look to see if they have a certain peace about this purpose they believe God has called them to. And thirdly, they ask themselves the passion question. Am I passionate about it? So what I want to do is, I want to take some biblical characters and see if this is how God in fact communicated purpose to them. Let's start with Moses. When God called Moses and said, Moses, I want you to go to Pharaoh, and I want you to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Did Moses experience a positive emotion? No. Did he experience a peace? No. Was he passionate about it? No. Moses was overwhelmed. And he was fearful. He said, God, I don't even speak well. Ask my brother to do it instead. Let's look at Jonah. When God communicated purpose to Jonah, was Jonah ecstatic about it? Did he have a positive emotion, a peace? Was he passionate about it? No, he was angry. He said, God, I know you. You're going to change your mind. And they're going to be angry at me. So Jonah ran away. How about Gideon? Did Gideon have a positive emotion? Did he have peace? No, he was filled with fear. He thought that he was the worst possible candidate for that job. Finally, Jesus. When Jesus got to the Garden of Gethsemane, as he was about to enter the most significant moment of his earthly ministry, did Jesus experience a positive emotion? No. He was sweating drops of blood. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, how does God communicate purpose into our lives? How does He show us what our purpose is? I have some thoughts for you. God explains your purpose within the name that He calls you by. When He gives you a name, the meaning of that name explains what He called you to do. We do the same thing, as a matter of fact. We look at that machine that we use to cut our grass with, and we call it a lawnmower. Why? Because we want the name to explain the purpose of that machine. We call a car wash. Why? Because we want it to express, explain, articulate the purpose of that thing. In the same way, God is in the name-changing business. He changes names in order to delegate purpose. He says to Abram, Abram, I'm going to change your name to Abraham so you can have a much greater clarity regarding what I called you to do. I've called you to be the father of many nations. He said to Jacob, Jacob, you're no longer going to be a deceiver. You're going to be Israel. So God changed his name because He gave him a purpose. God says to Simon, Simon, I'm going to change your name to Peter. Why? Because that'll express your purpose. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what are the names that God calls us by? There are many, but I want to give you 4. God calls you light. God calls you salt. God calls you citizen. God calls you ambassador. So we have to ask ourselves, what do those names mean? Because if we can discover the meaning of those names, we can discover our purpose. Well, what does light do? Light gives clarity. So ask yourself this question. Are the people in my life, do they have greater clarity regarding their need for God and their way back to God because I am in their life? Is there more light because I am there? Secondly, salt. What does salt do? Salt makes thirsty. So ask yourself this question. Are the people in my life, do they have a greater thirst for the things of God because I'm in their lives? Thirdly, what is so significant about being a citizen? Well, I moved from South Africa to the United States in the year 2000. And because of my mannerisms and because of my accent, it was very obvious to people that I was in America but not from America. So ask yourself this question. The people in your life, is it clear to them that you are in this world but not from this world because of your lifestyle? And finally, ambassadors, what do? An ambassador negotiates to a foreign nation on behalf of the nation that he comes from. So the question you have to ask yourself here is, are you negotiating on behalf of God's kingdom? Are you negotiating peace between God and man?
Hi there! If you're enjoying these short teachings by Jacques, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can like and follow.